Here's an example of why history is interesting. I read a lot of Russian literature and a lot of Russian history. I'm fascinated by the country, and like a lot of people regard the Russian novel as being essentially all you need, almost all you need in terms of novels. Um, here's the reason why, one example of why history is so damn interesting. You simultaneously have to accept the fact that one of the reasons why Stalin is still consistently voted the greatest Russian of all time is essentially based on the fact that the Russian people still attribute to him the victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. Okay? And each time there is a poll of great Russians, to the dismay of many of us, we see Comrade Stalin coming top again. And if you ask, how is it? It always comes back to this thing, that the focus is on this. Simultaneously, Comrade Stalin killed more people than almost any other dictator in history. There are Chairman Mao, you could say, has excelled him in the stakes. How is it possible that Russians are simultaneously able to keep in their heads the fact that Stalin was the biggest mass murderer of Russians and also the greatest Russian of all time? Because it's complicated. Because it's complicated. I once went to Stalin's birthplace. I was in Georgia some years ago, in the aftermath of the conflict in South Ossetia, and took a detour to go to Gori, to Stalin's birthplace. There's a museum there, which they were trying at the time to change from a museum to Stalin to a museum of Stalinism, and it was a fascinating thing for any historian to observe what this meant. And at the end of the tour, I said to the Georgian woman who'd been showing me around and doing the tour she'd clearly done for decades, I said, but what do you think of Stalin? She said, it isn't for me to judge. I said, no, but you must have a view. And Stalin, of course, from Georgia, killed more Georgians by portion of population than any other area of Russia. So there's a lot of complexity in Stalin and Georgia. And I was pushing this, but what do you think of him? And she said something so extraordinary. She said, I think she said it to others as well. She said he was like a hurricane. It just happened.